or is it money like we are investing because you are developing, for example, weapons for us? You're doing something, for us. Because I doubt that it's charity. I think that it's
They
just
buy
business,
weapons
because Israel has got so much advanced stuff. Exactly, and the U.S. is buying from them. It's buying services.
No, but they buy U.S. weapons. We give them money, and then they buy U.S. weapons.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. We give them credit.
But Israel is also doing working on development and research of warfare. I don't know, equipment.
Yeah.
Or?
So imagine America can. I know, Yaakov. I know you have the real answer. But this is how I'm as a non-Jew.
Why are you beefing with Yaakov? Like
non-Jew average American knows that. Like, imagine we make a new gun. Here's the thing. Nobody really goes to war with America, right? So, like, we can't really use our weapons, but you know who can use our weapons? Israel. So often they're the first ones to test out our new weapons, our new guns. And when we make a new gun, we send it there and they improve it dramatically.
Yeah, but my question is...
to it and improve it, and then they send it back.
My question is really because, and this is because I really don't know. Is the U.S. getting something in exchange for that money, or is it just like, oh yeah, we're gonna give this money to Israel and that's it? Like, and we're not getting anything. And I mean, I don't know. I thought that there was some sort of like a business, deal between the two, and they're just giving the business to Israel, and Israel is benefiting from that from the U.S. But I don't know. That's the reason why I'm asking, because I have no clue.
Diego, what's your theory?
Oh, you don't want to hear my...
No, what's your theory as an American? What is your theory? It's not a theory. It has to be supported by facts.
I want to say the things that we're getting in return for that relationship, but I think I'll get kicked out.
Well, what are we getting in return?
You're opening the can of worms, Farrell.
I'm just here for the kicks. I'm just gonna when it's time for me to make a good joke, I'll bring it.
All right. So we can't. We are just going to be a circle jerk of the same opinion.
Pearl, he just doesn't want to say it with his chest.
Okay, listen. If you're going to be a bitch and a pussy about standing up against Israel, then don't ever fucking open your mouth again. Okay? If you don't ever fucking open your mouth again about Israel.
I went 0 to 100.
Hey, I don't want to say in front of the big bad Jews, you fucking bitch. Then don't talk shit about Israel to begin with, ever again.
Amazing.
Boom. Very good point. Very, very, very good.
He's right.
Keep it going.
America is not getting paid, or it's not getting anything in exchange for the support, because Israel, I think, owns America. This is like the Jewish people. They're so talented and control.
What do you mean Israel owns America?
That is just like what I think. It's my opinion. I think
and Israel owns the world as well, right?
Yeah, we control all the publications, all the media, all the banks, all the insurance companies.
I honestly don't understand. I don't understand this, like, this position, just because, like, America could buy Israel, like, over and over and over again. I mean, like, what is there for Israel to buy that they own America?
Exactly.
The only thing they could buy that America can't produce is real estate in the Mideast. End of discussion. You want to put a base in the Mideast, you want a friendly partner.
Gaza has some good deals right now.
Yeah, Jared Kushner was pretty much an idiot when he talked about new beachfront property in Gaza. That was the last thing a Jewish person in the United States should be talking about.
Yeah, well, apparently it's not going to work.
They say it's free.
Yeah.
Well, apparently it's not working anyway. Yeah, because you're not getting
it. Israel doesn't want Gaza.
Apparently, is that true? Apparently it doesn't. So, like, all this idea, all these Americans sprouting about how they're going to buy a beach house in Gaza, so deceitful.
That's how you become.
I don't even want one on East Campus.
That's how you become a good property negotiator. You say you don't want it, and then you take it all for free.
Yeah, but they're saying it to you, free Gaza.
Yeah.
Yep.
Free Palestine. Free.
How is everybody on the Zap today? Everybody doing well?
It doesn't look like you're gonna take it.
All right.
I missed you. Where have you been?
I've been on an expedition to find the best beachfront property I can find in Gaza.
Oh, Pumalu.
I found
is it
it.
a coincidence that you just disappear when they take down this guy in Tehran?
Who did they take that? Oh, that.
Pumalu wasn't around. Are you suggesting he was part of it?
Exactly. Were you on a mission, Pumalu?
Oh my God, that's hysterical.
A mission. I was on a mission, yeah. But I can't say for my ears only.
On
By
my
the way-
side.
By the way, did they give an explanation how someone managed to kill Hania in front of everyone's
I
eyes?
can't say, otherwise.
Yeah, it was an inside
What?
job.
Hold on. Hey, guys. Someone is talking.
I'm 5 minutes late to work because of you guys.
Because you don't have
Go ahead,
discipline
Liv.
on mouth control.
You are talking, Liv. You were saying something.
No, it was just a question. Like, did they give any update
nice.
how it was done? How would someone reach?
Yeah,
security?
apparently, well, the Israel Times says that Mossad hired MITRS, whatever the name is.
IRGC,
that, and they planted.
IRGC, excuse me.
They planted the weapon that he was killed with 2 months before, which they intended to do this for the other president for the funeral, but they didn't do it because it was too many people in Israel, and I don't know, it was not a good time, so they delayed it, and now they had the opportunity, and they just did, apparently, but they are claiming that it was, well, they say that it was Mossad. Let me find the article. I'm gonna post it.
It could have been an inside job.
Yeah, but I don't know. Israel hasn't said it was us.
Well, would it?
Well, I guess that they have been honest when they have done a strike.
I think the best example of being honest was Operation Wrath of God after the 72 Olympics. It was clear, they said in advance, everyone associated with this will be hunted down, tracked, and killed. And they did. 29 Palestinians.
There's the article. You can guys read it there.
72.
It kind of like explains
but
their theory.
there's no corroboration. I've read this,
Yeah, so what there's agents, and they planted that. But also, it sounds just weird, because are you telling me they didn't check the rooms for 2 months? This thing just stayed there?
That's why I lean more towards an inside job.
But all of these things that you're saying contradict
What's up, Diego?
from the
Hold on,
official
America.
sources. They're saying that it was like from a rocket launcher.
No,
Haditha.
that has been already debunked. It was not a rocket launch, no.
In the initial hours, first it was an airstrike, then it was a spike missiles across the street.
No, but I'm not
there for
speaking about
2
rumors.
months. It was in the
I'm not speaking
shower.
about rumors.
Hold on, Liv. What do you
It
know?
was in the shower. It had been planted like 2 months previously. It was like they were able to tell that he was in the shower, and then that's when he was found dead in the shower.
Oh, I wanted it to be on the toilets. I wanted a C4 toilet.
No,
How is it that they killed the bodyguard as well?
the conspiracy was that the bodyguard was in the shower with him.
Was it confirmed that the black dildo found was actually his?
The
bodyguard.
He did.
Bodyguard was found in him.
I want that dildo.
No,
That's
but
the
that
really
is that
one.
meme that is going around where there is an explosion and there's a big explosion.
Can you post that in the Telegram?
I don't have it. Let me look for it.
Oh, you gotta save that shit.
Yeah,
Hold on. I'll post it. Hold on.
Please, I need that. I need to laugh.
The shower one was the funniest.
And why
We
was
need
it
to figure out how to text or WhatsApp each other, Simon, so we can save this stuff.
Why was it a black dildo? Was it a black dildo because it was charred?
I'll put it in the Israel.
Those are the only ones that can't.
Really?
M was
Speaking from
saying that
experience
he
or
was
just
in
rumor?
the toilet.
Come on, you left yourself wide open for that one. No pun intended.
Wait, what the fuck is that?
The figure of speech, Rena.
But Liv, no, it was not a missile as they were reporting at first.
I don't know. It sounds
Only his room blew up, right?
Well, no, if you look at the picture in that article, it was more than just his room. Look at that. Can you imagine that? What a bang. What a bang.
Detonated right in the right moment.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yakov, I sent it in the group.
It's
Let me know
either
if you
going to
can
be
see
one
that.
of the two. It's either going to be some sort of like cooperation between Iran and Israel, or we just have to admit that security and information intelligence is a big lie. Because how can someone just like sneak in and kill like a big figure just like that? How can someone shoot at the next president, potentially like Trump,
No,
and
but
get
it's
away
not
with it?
shooting.
How is that even possible? In my country, when like the king or like the leader is like doing any sort of like public speech or anything, it's like extremely like you can't even go to your own house if you're around. So how is that even possible? And how is that guy who was able to sneak into the IDF? He was not even a soldier, and he was able to sneak in, and he had guns, and he took pictures with Netanyahu, which is the prime minister, and all of that. Like how, like, it's just like so fishy.
Are you living,
right?
you say your country? Are you living in North Korea, mate?
No, I don't live in North Korea. What are you talking about?
So which is your country?
Why is that relevant? Why is that relevant?
Because you said
you mentioned
in my
it.
country, you cannot do, the president or the prime minister cannot do anything without being taken care of. So that's the reason why he's asking you what's your country.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think only North Korea does that. I think that's normal because a lot of people would normally want to hurt like the supreme leader of any country, not only North Korea.
No, he's not a leader of any country. Here, he was not the leader of any country. He's the leader of a terrorist gang.
Exactly.
That's right.
Diego, what's going on in your gift?
What are you doing? Are you washing your hands or are you savoring some sort of attack?
So what happened in the last hour? Like I'm reading that
I had lunch in the last hour. I had lunch. What about you?
No, this morning there was an attack with a drone by Hezbollah.
Yeah.
And it killed, I think, like 9 people or something like that. I haven't read the article. It was done.
No, kill.
International Zionism is behind the civil unrest in Venezuela. Has nothing to do with this autocratic rule.
My God, that is some serious
gaslighting.
gaslighting.
No. I watched yesterday a black girl talking about how the opposition of Maduro are Zionists, and now they are the ones trying to bring down the whole social experiment of Maduro, and that the international community shouldn't allow this to happen because it would be a coup, and that Maduro is actually standing on the good side of history because he has supported Palestine since day one. And I don't know, it was like it was a confusing video, but clear propaganda. It was horrible.
Yeah. And he was linking, like, he made a comment about Elon Musk and Zionists together. I didn't understand the Musk connection. The man's off his rockers. I mean, even the troops there are starting to take, according to my friend in Caracas, some of the troops are starting to take off their uniforms, but not enough, unfortunately.
But I got to give it a BB. He did a fantastic job in Congress. He really did. What a fantastic orator that guy is.
Yeah, our Schumer didn't even, or he did stand up occasionally, but not as much as he could have.
Yeah, did he not find it kosher enough?
I know, Chuck Schumer's turned out to be quite the disappointment lately.
Schumer.
Can't find any mention of this drone strike. Oh, here we go. 7 injured drone strike. Wow, that's how they've gotten.
Yeah, there's more.
Yeah, Nigeria. Yeah, in the north.
This was into Israel.
No, sorry,
7?
one dead and 8 injured.
Oh, sorry, 7 injured. Yeah.
7 injured.
Wow,
Well, here-
propaganda.
Is it propaganda, do you think?
Like when Israelis die, it's propaganda. I thought it was
You said
propaganda when
9 people died.
See, Israelis die, but Palestinians are killed or murdered in the international press. The double standards just what happened last week in the village in Gold. They said they were Jews died, they weren't killed, but Gazans are killed or murdered.
This is fucking retarded. Going for work.
He just likes to complain out loud.
I thought he was
so
agreeing
people
with.
ask-
I thought he was agreeing with me.
No, he just likes to complain out loud, so people ask him what's going on. He's an attention whore.
Whoa! Wow. They left the message, Sonny.
Yeah, don't you know? Next time, don't ask me. Don't give it to me.
Don't give it to you.
Yeah, don't give it to me. Don't give me the
You have
attention,
to
Yakov.
Okay. You're
Yeah,
giving-
because if you do, then he will keep doing it.
That's right.
Rena, what's new in the socialist state up north? Any new taxes today?
Actually, Canada has this really great plan for climate change to protect the world. So basically, in Canada, we've solved this problem by paying more taxes. And so all you have to do is pay more taxes, like give money to your government, and that will solve climate change. In fact, you should even emulate Canada, call it a carbon tax. Just pay more money, and all of the climate issues will be solved. So that's the news from Communist Gazeta. That's happening here. And back to you, Jakob.
Thank you.
I think you meant China.
China?
No, I like
more like
Gazeta.
Gazeta now.
Gazeta better because it has this, action and delayed siege and waste. And
Yeah.
I heard they're cutting off air links between our two countries.
I fucking hate everything that Canada stands for. Like, I literally...
Maple syrup? How can you hate maple syrup?
Fuck.
I think he's talking politically, not culturally.
You're becoming a very hateful person, Simon. You should
What happened today?
tone it down.
I just have no patience for like socialists anymore. Like, I literally have zero patience anymore.
That means you used to have patience? Like, you actually... I never had patience for
He
socialists.
fakes patience.
I don't fake patience. Anybody who knows me is going to say, that is one patient kid.
And how old are you?
29. Yeah.
Yeah, he's become very hateful.
Yeah, fucking hate the communists, hate the fascists,
Who do you like? Let's go to who you like.
No one. You don't like people.
Capitalists.
Is there a problem with capitalism you can identify?
Nothing.
No.
Not a single thing.
There's not.
No,
well,
no.
how about you? I don't
wait a
see.
second. There is one single thing.
Yeah,
You
but it's not
want you would not want courts to be run by capitalism. You've said that many times.
What?
You've said many times that you don't believe in courts being run as a private enterprise.
That wouldn't even make sense. If a court,
Hands, by the way.
a court is there to just adjudicate laws. So
And you were telling the room that we were a little unclear.
What?
Yeah, but I remember. So he still wants a governmental entity to be, let's say, the arbiter. And I think. I mean, I am for a small government, but I also think that this can be done by private organization.
What, a court?
Yes.
Okay, how?
Do you notice how he doesn't actually accept that what I said was 100% correct? He just tap dances around it. He's clearly saying that he doesn't believe capitalism works with courts, but he wants someone to tease it out and he wants to kind of divert the attention from just acknowledging the simple fact, which is what I said. And that's a typical objective.
What are the laws? I'm asking what are the laws that the courts are upholding?
I don't know. Which court are you talking about? Divorce court?
Well, what court are you? You just asked me the court. So I said, what?
I didn't ask you anything. I said a simple statement, which you are tap dancing around, but not denying, which is that you don't believe in capitalism for courts.
I'm asking.
Someone said, do you think there's anything wrong with capitalism? You said, no, there's nothing wrong with it. And I said, no, actually, you do think there's something wrong with it. Courts. That's just number one. We can tease out more things for you. But courts is like your number one thing.
To say that there's a problem with capitalism.
Can you explain what capitalism for courts is, first of all?
To simply just make the statement, I have a problem with capitalism when it comes to courts. You
don't think that courts should be run by private enterprise? You've said that a billion times. Everybody knows your position.
Yes, and I'm asking you, how would that work according to what law?
That's not my concern. I'm not running a business of courts.
Hold on, everybody, hold on for a second.
I'm not going to tell you how McDonald's is going to be profitable either.
And strawberries.
Hold on, Simon and Diego, hold on. The way you put capitalism into the courts is by privatize the courts, not having them as a governmental institution, but actually having a private organization being the arbiter of what's right and what's wrong.
Where is that run at the moment?
No, nowhere.
No.
But that's the thing.
Wait, what do you mean nowhere? What about private Jewish courts? They exist all over America.
What are you talking about?
If you are, hold on,
what do you mean, what am I talking
if
about?
you are a full-on
Jewish
capitalist, you want everything to be run by individuals, and by private entities. And so you cannot say I am a total capitalist or an absolute capitalist if you still believe, let's say, that the government should run certain things. That's Diego's view. I am a little bit in the middle. Like I am still pro a minimum government.
Which is fine, but you just have to be honest that you don't think capitalism what he said was there's nothing wrong with capitalism, but he was lying when he answered like that.
Well,
he was effectively he was violating his own morality by not telling the truth.
Because the question that I asked
that's exactly what you were doing.
Undermines the entire concept of what the court is. So I'm asking if there is a law, that is enforced by the monopoly of violence.
Courts don't enforce anything. That's not how that worked.
They adjudicate what
they do. Force the law on people.
No, they don't.
Yes, they enforce the law.
The judge does not come with a gun and say you have to do this.
Yes,
no, but if you're violating the law, you will be put in jail, or if you violate the law in a civil matter, you will be found guilty and you'll have to pay compensation.
Unless you're an immigrant.
Referee.
That's what
they are not.
That's what the piece of paper says. But someone actually has to enforce it. Simon thinks that it's the court. That's not what the court does.
No, I didn't say that. I just said they adjudicate what's right and wrong. I didn't say the judge points the gun at you.
So really your question should be, your question should be, how would private enterprise adjudicate matters privately? Well, not unlike the way matters are adjudicated through the publicly paid court system, obviously.
Well, I mean, there's no comparison. I mean,
there's no comparison.
Simon, it is simple because the thing is that you would, let's say, you as an individual would have your court system that you adjudicate to, and Diego would have his. And then when you enter into a contract, the two of you, you would agree to what court do you want to abide by, or do you want to intervene if you guys have got a conflict. It's just like it happens today. If you do business, if I'm in the UK and I do business with someone in Switzerland, one of the two has to agree to which country we want to put the contract, which laws.
That's what you pay a lawyer for.
Yeah, but you still agree on that voluntarily, and so you can also do that personally. Like I want this court to be the one, I don't know, doing my trial or whatever, and you can agree between the two parties about that. Or yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
I did have something that.
So wing. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, let me know when we're off the court thing, because there is something that I've been wrestling with in my mind about capitalism, a flaw. And
I was just going to say, all the Jews in the room should understand that there are organizations of adjudication which are private and work very well within their own communities.
Yeah, we know about Basin, well, just some of us may.
Yeah.
But they're voluntary. They're meant to.
That's the beauty of capitalism, is that it's voluntary. Now, Simon doesn't agree that all things should be voluntary. He thinks that there are some things that people should be forced to do against their will.
You can't use a Basin for felonies. Like, it doesn't work that way. They're meant for issues.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way because you're abiding to the country where you're living. But that's Diego's point. That if you would privatize all the courts, it would also
here's my big point. My big point is that if Simon truly thought there's nothing wrong with capitalism, then he'd have to conclude that's the best way to deal with the problem. He couldn't then say, actually, you guys, what I really want is to force you to have to use that a mob group decides. It doesn't matter who the decision maker is. If you don't want it and you have to do it against your will, that means that Simon thinks that there are certain things that voluntary association cannot solve, and therefore he does think that there are things wrong with capitalism.
And what if the court?
But see, when you ask a question like that, that doesn't kill the principle. That's why you're a bad objectivist.
Well, no,
you're really bad at how to argue this problem.
Both parties have no choice but to go to court. Now, in your world, I can just say no, I don't want, and that's it. And then there's there's nothing that gets adjudicated.
I guess that's true because you said it's true.
No, it's true because if I say no, I'm never showing up to court. There's no entity forcing me to show up.
And what's wrong with that?
Nothing gets adjudicated. The concept of a court is
you would still be tried in absentia, obviously. Do you know what the concept of tried in absentia is?
No.
You see, Simon, if you fail to appear at court in this world, in this United States, they run the trial without you.
Okay.
The matter still gets adjudicated.
And it gets adjudicated and enforced by what mechanism?
Wait, see, there you go again. You're conflating what the court decides with the enforcement mechanism.
Because if the court sides one way, okay, then by law.
Okay, we figured it out.
The government can come knocking at your door looking for you. There's an enforcement mechanism.
And if you think that's the only way to solve problems, then that's your limited thinking. And it makes sense, obviously, because you live in this world and that's how it happens. However, there are other enforcement mechanisms that don't require that type of violence. Think about it.
Well, I mean, what's forcing you to act?
if everyone in the community agrees with adjudication, they don't have to interact with you anymore. Now that might be an incentive for you to actually go up to court or like agree with the adjudication, right? But that's how it works. That's how it works in Jewish court. If you don't agree with the adjudication in Jewish court, like, you're not going to go to jail.
That's not true.
But you get ostracized, right?
You get ostracized. Like, no one says, no, a man does not have to give a get, no matter what the court says.
Correct.
Right, and so my point is that is the civilized way of dealing with issues.
Nobody will want to do business with you. So in the end, the market will win again. So if you don't abide by the rules that the whole community has,
sending, let's say, big planes into Iran at the moment. I don't know that there's nothing that's going to happen. They've actually announced that there is going to be a reaction on 7th and 8th of August, which is tomorrow and the day after. I think we're going to take them on the word, and I think it's wise to be able to take them on the word. Especially, Hamas, after October the 7th, the leaders have said, we're going to do it again and again and again. Well, you know what? We'll take your word for it. In the meantime, here we go. We're just going to fix you up a little bit. And look, I get that you have a beef that you want to be able to speak to. I get it. You've got your experience over there. I'm sorry. I appreciate that you actually finally wound the conversation. Directed the conversation back to the topic in itself, which is about the war that Israel is now about to face, and that's going to be. The news has just broken out recently that it's going to be. It looks like the 7th and the 8th. So it is imminent, and people are. Will start to bunker down in Israel, surely enough. Look, fortunately enough, there will be, and hopefully there will be time for people in Israel to be able to get into their bunkers, which is more than what the people of Gaza have. And there'll be an opportunity for them to be able to protect themselves. Israel's got a good defence system. I think we all hope that it doesn't get overwhelmed. I'm sure that what they've been doing from the north with Hezbollah and from also Gaza and Iran in recent months is to be able to actually stress test Israel and its defence systems, just to be able to see if there's any weak points. The reaction of 350 rockets and drones coming into Israel was, I think, a test. Israel was underwhelmed. The IRGC was left, I would imagine, feeling quite embarrassed of their efforts, because there was little to no yield for their efforts whatsoever, and they probably lost face to the likes of China and North Korea and so forth. So anyway, let's see how things pan out.
Yeah, I think we're... One second, Steve. I'm going to go down. Just going to say one more, then I'm just going to go back. Regarding your question, Rohan, if the Israelis are not...
الزنجية بنت المتنكة عملت لي تقريبا
هيك. John, what's up, John? What up? Welcome to the Clown Town. This is the CEO of Clown Town. How's the president of Clown Town doing today?
How many people are in the How many people are in the house? Oh wow. You gotta go to the settings in the house, and then, well, I have to join the house first, and then you can make me an admin. What's the name of the house? The official clown house? Let me see. Iranian clown's house? The Hustle House, House of Hustle. So I'm just typing in house and I'm joining all the biggest houses, which was kind of cool. Wow, Roger Mayhem has 7,500. Well, it's no rush. I mean, it's, you know. I called doctor last night, or he called me. I think he was shit faced. You got to recreate. You have to close this one and then create a new one under the house. Oh, you can't. Okay, this is poetry read by the poet. Hey, Heckama, what up? This is Poet. I'm gonna read some poetry. I don't know if you like. Do you like poetry? Okay, this is book club. Do you even read anymore? Phoenix is here. Oh my god, my friend Phoenix, how are you, sir? Are you still gay?
You hope you are having wonderful, mind-blowing, satisfying, full of love time.
That's right. Do you love Israel?
Yeah, I love, but this time is very sensitive, so
Oh.
I love that. I love the music.
All right, well, we're gonna do the Shema. Here we go. You gotta do this every Jew has got to do this every morning. Shema. This isn't the best version, but. Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Woo! I got it done. I did it. Woo!
That's good. Adonai Echad.
You see, the best version is actually it's a Sephardic version. It's really the best version because they use the shofar. It really wakes up your tuchus. Okay, we're gonna read about Haman. Okay, this is called Haman's intention. Because Iran is about to attack Israel. So this is called Haman's intention. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews. Esther 3:6. To what may the wicked Haman be? To a bird that made its nest at the edge of the sea, only to have it swept away when the tide was high. What did the bird do? proceeded to take water into its beak and pour it out on the dry land. Then take sand from the dry land and drop it into the sea. Its companion stood by and asked, "What are you doing, wearing yourself out so?" The bird answered, "I will not budge from here until I turn the sea into dry land, and the dry land into sea." Its companion said, "Biggest fool in the world. After all this effort, what do you think you can accomplish?" So too, the Holy One said to wicked Haman, "You are the biggest fool in the world. I said I would destroy Israel, and found if one dare ascribe such words to God, I could not. As scripture says, God intended to destroy them, but then Moses, his chosen, stood before him in the breach that he should not destroy them." Psalms 106:23. Yet you expect to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish by your life. Your head will be removed and not theirs. They are for deliverance, and you are for hanging. Haman's slander and Ahasuerus's decree. Haman said, "There is Yeshno one people." Esther 3:8 Rava commented, "There never was a slanderer as skillful as Haman." Haman said to Ahasuerus, "Come, let us engage them in battle." Ahasuerus answered, "I am afraid that God punishes anyone who engages them in battle, Haman, but they are negligent, Yeshenu, of God's precepts." Ahasuerus, "Nevertheless, there are righteous men in Israel who will seek mercy for the transgressors." Haman, "But they are one people. Should you argue that by obliterating them, I will make a barren area in your kingdom? Please remember that they are scattered among many peoples. Should you say, but surely there is some benefit to be derived from them, remember that they are meforad. They are like a ferda, a mule that bears no progeny. Should you argue, but they are outside my domain, so you cannot act against them. They are in all the provinces of thy kingdom. Beside, the laws are diverse from those of every people. Esther 3:8. They do not eat with us, drink with us, or intermarry with us, neither keep they the king's laws. They spend the entire year dawdling and lolling about. They say it is the Sabbath, it is a festival, and thus get out of doing the king's work. Haman then proceeded to reckon the Jewish festivals, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, Feast of Weeks, Feast of Tabernacles, New Year's Day, and the Feast and the Fast of Atonement. At that the Holy One said to Haman, "Villain, you would cast an evil eye on their festivals. I will cause you to fall down before them. And to celebrate your downfall, they will add still another festival." Haman went on, "It profiteth not the king to suffer them." Esther 3:8. For they eat and drink and hold the king in contempt. If a fly falls into the cup of one of them, he flings it out and drinks the wine. But if my lord king touches the cup of one of them, he dashes it to the ground and will not drink from it. Therefore, if it please the king, let it be written that they will be destroyed, and I will pay 10,000 talents of silver. Esther 3:9. And the king said unto Haman, The silver is given thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Esther 3:11. Rabbi Abba said, by what may the give and take between Ahasuerus and Haman be illustrated by the parable of two men, one of whom had a mound in the middle of his field, while the other had a ditch in the middle of his. The owner of the mound said, "Who will sell me that ditch?" The owner of the ditch said, "Who will sell me that mound?" One day the two met, and the owner of the ditch said to the owner of the mound, "Sell me a mound." The other replied, "I wish that such a request had been made long ago. Take it for nothing." Then were the king's scribes called. There was written, letters were sent, Esther 3:12-13. What was written in those letters? The following to all peoples of diverse races and languages, may your well-being increase. Be it known unto you that there came to us a man, who is not of our city or of our land, an Amalekite, Amalekite, the son of distinguished forebears, and his name is Haman. He put a small, one may say trifling request to us, saying, "In our midst there dwells a nation more despicable than any other nation. Arrogant in spirit, they are ever ready for treachery and corruption. They hold us in contempt and rejoice in our misfortune. Evening, morning, noon, the cursing of the king is habitual in their mouths. They keep saying, 'The Lord is king forever and ever.' May the nations vanish from his earth." Psalm 10:16. When he wreaks vengeance upon the nations, punishment upon the peoples. Psalm 149:7. The scions of this despicable and arrogant people are notorious ingrates. Look what they did to poor Pharaoh. When the forebears came down to Egypt, he welcomed them with extraordinary kindness. He even allowed them to settle in the very best part of his land. During years of famine, he did not merely feed them, he gave them choice viands. Then when he asked that they build him just one palace, they came with a trumped-up tale, saying, "Let us go, we pray thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, and sacrifice unto the Lord our God. After that we will come back." In the meantime they said, "Please lend us silver vessels, gold vessels, and garments." So the Egyptians lent them their silver, their gold, and their finest clothing. Then each one of these ingrates loaded ever so many until they emptied Egypt. After that they made the getaway. Naturally, Pharaoh, he and his entire camp had no choice but to pursue them to retrieve their stolen treasure. What did these ingrates do? They had among them a certain person, whose name was Moses, son of Amram. By means of his witchcraft he took a staff, uttered incantations over it, and with it smote the sea until it became dry. Then all of them went into the midst of the sea on dry land, and all of them got across. I do not know by what means they were able to cross the sea, or by what means its waters were dried up. When Pharaoh saw this, he went in after them. I do not know how they managed to push him into the sea, but he and his entire host drowned in it. The ingrates, you see, chose not to remember the good things Pharaoh had done for them. And you know what they did to Amalek, Haman's ancestor? After they had come up out of the sea, Amalek went to Balaam to seek advice from him, saying, "Look what this people has done to Egypt. Now if they have done this to Egypt, which bestowed so many boons upon them, how much more are they likely to do to other peoples? What do you advise?" Balaam replied, "Go and wage war against them. If you cannot prevail against them, no mortal will ever prevail against them, because they depend on the merit of Abraham. And so do you." At that Amalek went to war against them. What did the leader Moses do then? He had an understudy named Joshua, son of Nun, cruel, utterly without mercy. Moses said to him, "Choose us men and go out, fight with Amalek." Exodus 17:9. I do not know the kind of men he chose, whether they were wizards or just mighty warriors. But Moses took a stick in his hand. I do not know precisely what he did with it, and also took a stone and sat on it. Again, I do not know what incantations he whispered over it. All I know is that Amalek's strength grew weak and powerless. They fell, slain by them. Then they attacked Sihon and Og, the mightiest warriors in the world. No mortal could stand up to these two. I still do not know how they managed to slay them. After that, what did Joshua, the person's understudy, do? He led Israel into the land of the Canaanites, not only taking their land, but slaying 31 of their kings. He then divided the land of the Canaanites among the Israelites. Even the Gibeonites, who made peace with them, they forced to become men servants and maid servants. Then Sisera multitude attacked Israel. What they did to him I do not know, but the book of Kishon swept away Sisera and his multitude, carried them off, and cast them into the great Mediterranean Sea. As their first king, they had a man named Saul. He went to the land of Haman's ancestors, Amalek, where in one day Saul slew 100,000 horsemen. He had no pity on man or woman, child or suckling. How he managed to slay them I do not know. Then what did they do to Haman's grandfather, Agag, whom they first had spared? After a while, one of them, named Samuel, came forth, cut him in pieces, served his flesh as food to the birds of heaven. I do not know why Samuel felt he had to inflict such a horrible death upon Agag. After that, they had another king, David, son of Jesse, by name, who destroyed and exterminated ever so many realms and showed no pity to their inhabitants. After David, his son Solomon rose up and built for Israel an edifice he called the Sacred House. What they had in it I do not know, but whenever enemies came to fight them, they entered that edifice and performed their witchcraft in it. And when they emerged from it, they killed enough to destroy the entire world. There was not a virtue they did not boast of having. Because of their extraordinary prosperity, no other people or tongue was deemed by them to amount to anything. But when that god of theirs grew old, Nebuchadnezzar attacked them, and burned that edifice of theirs, and their wizardry no longer availed them. Some he slew, others, after fettering in irons, he exiled from the land and brought into our midst. But they still did not change their ugly ways. Even though they are in exile in our midst, they mock us and mock what we hold in awe. In their eyes, we are an abomination. So now all of us have agreed to cast the lots to determine the best time to exterminate them from the world. The lot against them fell on the month of Adar, the 13th day in it. Accordingly, when these presents reach you, get ready for that day. He who draws a bow, let him draw it. He who wields a sword, let him wield it. Be ready to kill, to exterminate in one day all the Jews in your midst, young and old, little ones and women. Do not allow even one of them to escape or get away. Subnote 1. All this is a masterpiece of satirical parody of a people's history. I know only one other work in this genre, Count Alexis, no relation to Leo Tolstoy's parody in verse of Russian history, as murderous in its characterization of the Russian czars as this is of the Jewish leaders. Perhaps there is an English counterpart. I cannot recollect a German or a French one. Voltaire? Heine? I can't remember. There is certainly no Arabic one. The following is the text of the letter Haman the Agagite wrote and sent to all the kingdoms of the world and to all the notables of the peoples of the world. I, chief officer of the king, second only to him, first of all prefects and most distinguished among the nobles in the realm. I, in full agreement with the king's epochs and officers, satraps and governors, speaking as one, in the same language, using the same words which King Ahasuerus has authorized. To herewith indite this writing, which is sealed with the signet and is therefore irreversible. The writing concerns the great vulture, Israel, whose wings had been spread over the whole world. No fowl, no beast, tame or wild could withstand him, but then came the great lion Nebuchadnezzar, who dealt the vulture a mortal blow. His wings were broken, his feathers plucked out, his feet hacked off. From the day the vulture was forced out of his eyrie until this day, the entire world, all of it, his head bestowed upon it calm, quiet, and serenity. But now we see the vulture, determined to grow feathers and wings once again, determined to overshadow us, the entire world, all of it, as he once overshadowed and plundered our earliest forebears. Therefore we, all the foremost regents of Media and Persia, with the authority of King Ahasuerus, with common consent, are writing to you as follows. Okay, I'm going to take a quick reading break, and we will come back. Set snares for this vulture. Entrap him before he renews his strength and returns to his eyrie. We advise you to pluck his feathers and break his wings, to feed his flesh to the fowl of heaven, to crack his eggs, to crush his fledglings, and to root out his memory from the world. Let not our counsel be like Pharaoh's, decreed only against males, but let the females be, nor like Amaleks, who smote the stragglers and left the strong unscathed, nor like Sennacheribs, who exiled them to a land like their own, nor like Nebuchadnezzar's, who only exiled them but let them live, even seating some of them near his throne. Clearly aware of the threat, we are resolved to slay, to exterminate all Jews, young and old, so that there be left of them no memorial, no name, no posterity in the world. Thus they will be unable to do to us what they did to our forefathers and fathers. For whoever did them a favor, they paid back only with evil. After the letters were sealed and given to Haman, he, together with his entire band of associates, left the royal palace overjoyed. When Mordecai met them and learned of the fate in store for the Jews, he happened to see 3 Jewish children coming from school and hastened to catch up with them. Haman and his band, seeing Mordecai hasten after the children, followed him to find out what he might say to them. When Mordecai came up with the children, he asked one of them, "Recite for me the verse in Scripture you studied today." He replied, "Be not afraid of sudden terror, neither of the destruction of the wicked when it cometh." Proverbs 3:25. The second child followed him, saying, "Today in school I studied the verse, take counsel together, and it shall be brought to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for God is with us." Isaiah 8:10. The third added, "Even to old age I am the same, and even to hoar hairs will I carry you. I have made, and I will bear. Ye, I will carry, and will deliver." Isaiah 46:4. When Mordecai heard these verses, he not only cheered up, he became jubilant. Haman asked him, "What did the children say to you that made you so joyful?" Mordecai replied, "They gave me the good tidings that I need not fear the evil counsel you have devised against us." Enraged, wicked Haman said, "I will make these children the first to feel the blow of my hand." Then Haman said to Ahasuerus, "The god of these people hates lewdness. So make a feast for them, and seat women next to each one of them. Order that all of them come, eat and drink, and do whatever they desire." The king gave the order. At once Mordecai rose up and issued a proclamation, "My children, go not to the place of Ahasuerus' feasting, so that Satan will not be given cause to make accusations against you." But they disregarded the words of Mordecai, and all of them went to the place of feasting. Rabbi Ishmael said 18,500 men went to the place of feasting. When they ate, drank, became drunk, and committed acts of depravity, giving no thought whatever to the destruction of their temple. At once Satan rose up and, in the presence of the Holy One, brought charges against the Jews, saying bluntly to the Holy One, "Master of the universe, how long will you cleave to this people who keep provoking you? If you please cause this people to perish from the world," the Holy One asked, "but what will happen to the Torah?" Satan replied, "Master of the universe, you will have to make do with the allegiance to it of those on high." Indeed, the Holy One himself became reconciled with Satan's counsel, said, "What need have I of this people, because of whom I have had so many reasons for anger? I will make the memory cease from among men." Deuteronomy 32:26. At once the Holy One said to Satan, "Bring me a scroll, and I will write in it, extermination." Satan went and brought God a scroll, which he inscribed and sealed. At once the Torah went forth in a widow's garb, and lifted a voice in weeping before the Holy One. The sound of her weeping, the ministering angels too cried out to the Holy One and said, "Master of the universe, if Israel were not in the world, of what use are we?" When the sun and the moon heard this, they withdrew their brightness. Heaven and earth and all the works of creation went into mourning. At that moment, Elijah, ever remembered on good occasions, ran in all haste to the fathers of the world and to the first prophets, and said to them, "Fathers of the world, heaven and earth and all the host on high are weeping bitterly. The entire world is seized with pangs like a woman in labor, and you lie here unruffled." They asked, "What is happening?" Elijah replied, "A decree of extermination has been issued against Israel." Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob said, "If the decree against them has been sealed, what can we do?" Elijah turned around and went to Moses, to whom he said, "Alas, O faithful shepherd, How many times did you stand in the breach in Israel's behalf and cause a decree against them to be nullified, so that they were not destroyed? How will you respond to this present peril? Moses asked. Is there one virtuous man in this generation? Elijah. Yes, his name is Mordecai. Moses, go and tell him about it so that he might stand in prayer there as we will hear. Elijah responded quickly, but O faithful shepherd, the decree against Israel is already indicted, already sealed. Moses, if it is sealed with clay, our prayer will be heard, but if with blood, what must be, must be. Elijah, it is sealed with clay. Moses, go and tell Mordecai. At once Elijah went and told Mordecai, and in every province whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was intense mourning among the Jews. Esther 4:3. Why is it spoken of as intense mourning? Because it is the way of mourning to be intense the first day, but as it continues it grows less intense. This mourning, however, kept growing more intense as it went on, for each man would say to himself, tomorrow I am to be slain. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. Esther 5:14. What did he do? He went and cut down a cedar in the palace garden, and with chants and songs had it taken out and set up at the entrance to his house. Then he said, tomorrow morning I will hang Mordecai upon it. After he had set it up, he measured himself against it, that a divine voice spoke up, saying, these gallows fit you fine. Indeed, these gallows have been ready for you ever since the 6 days of creation. After Haman made the gallows, he went to Mordecai and found him seated in a house of study with young children before him, their heads sprinkled with ashes, sackcloth about the loins, engaged in the study of Torah. Even though they were crying aloud and weeping, Haman counted them and found there were 22,000 of them. He put iron collars about their necks and fetters of iron on their legs, set guards over them, and said, tomorrow I will slaughter these first, and then hang Mordecai. The mothers of the children came to bring them bread and water, and said to them, children, eat and drink before you die tomorrow. Do not die hungry. The children put their hands on their scrolls and swore by the life of our teacher Mordecai. We will neither eat nor drink, but will die worn out from fasting. Then each child rolled up his scroll, returned it to his teacher, and said, we thought that through the merit of Torah we would live long. But now that we have no such merit, take the scrolls from our hands. Then all moaned loudly as they wept, the mothers lowing like heifers outside the house of study, and the children bawling like calves within it, until their cry reached the height above. The Holy One heard the sound of their weeping at the end of the 3rd hour in the night. In that instant the Holy One rose from the throne of justice, seated himself on the throne of mercy, and asked, what is this loud noise I hear? Like that of kids and lambs. Moses, our teacher, stood up before God and said, Master of the universe, these are neither kids nor lambs. They are the little ones of your people, who have been fasting now for 3 days and 3 nights, and tomorrow, like kids and lambs, they will be made to stand up for slaughtering. With that, the compassion of the Holy One crested, and he broke the seals, tore up the letters of doom, and that night cast dismay on Ahasuerus. The fall of Haman and the exaltation of Mordecai. On that night could not the king sleep. Esther 6:1. Rabbi Hama bar Gorion said all those who wished to sleep had no sleep that night. Esther was busy with the feast for Haman. Mordecai was busy with his sackcloth and fasting. Haman was busy with his gallows. At that time the Holy One said to the angel in charge of sleep, my children are in peril, yet this wicked king is sleeping in his bed. Go and cause his sleep to desert him. At once the angel came down, stood over Ahasuerus, and disturbed his spirit, saying to him in great, go and repay with favor him who deserves it. Ahasuerus began to muse, who has served me well and has not been repaid. So he commanded to bring the book of the records and chronicles. Okay, we'll leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed it. It's a reading from Mordecai. Okay, that's the Sefer HaAgadah. That's on Haman and Mordecai.
Margin of victory in the equivalent of the Senate or House of Parliament, so they can't really be challenged. So there's only way that Keir is going to change his position is if he gives into the guilt, or members of his own party are going to threaten him with a vote of no confidence, which I don't think either is going to happen. So it depends. Is he going to continue with this rhetoric of coming out and only demonizing one portion of society, which is the natural born citizens? And that will determine how things go. But so like Diego brought up the question about, like, he thought this would peter out very quickly because, like, oh, people have jobs and they go back to it. But yet yesterday was one of the more newsworthy days of these events. And then we literally have politicians stepping on their dicks, right? And Sky News deleting news clips because they end up, like, inadvertently showing things which are counter-narrative on television. So yesterday was a very sort of significant day in the information war.
But so in reality, kind of like the strategy or the good thing for Brits to happen, it would be for there to be chaos, right? So that these guys kind of control it, and so they have a reason how to take him out, no?